If you'd like to make your NFL games a little more interesting, you've come to the right place. It's the Even Money Podcast with Ross Tucker and Steve Fezzik.
Yeah, Vegas, baby, Vegas. It is the Even Money Podcast presented by DraftKings, America's #1 rated sportsbook app. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman. You can see behind me, for those of you that watch at youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL, played for the then Washington Redskins, Dallas Cowboys, Buffalo Bills, New England Patriots, and I don't even really count the Cleveland Browns. It was like a month. I try to just block that memory away. Anyway, I'm at Ross Tucker NFL, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I mentioned the YouTube page, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. Those of you that don't like to write down all of the bets that Steve and I make on this show, become patrons, become Tuckheads, patreon.com/RT Media. Our guy, Sean Grady, the Australian sensation, posts them on our private Slack channel every single week. So you can see it all right there in black and white. Got a bunch of different podcasts, but you guys know that. Busy day today. Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Power Rankings, College Draft Podcast, now Against the Spread, and going to do the Fantasy Feast Podcast today as well. Very, very busy day in podcast land. Let us get to Steve Fezzik, the real star of the show, the only two-time winner of the Super Bowl of professional football gambling. He is the Westgate Casino two-time winner, the Super Contest. Check him out on Twitter at Fezzik Sports. He's the man. He's our math guy. He knows all the numbers, and we will dive right into it. How are you, Steve?
I am excellent, Ross. Happy early Thanksgiving.
Likewise. Do you typically do better or worse Thanksgiving week or on the Thanksgiving Day games?
I have gotten crushed on Thanksgiving along with many pros over the last 10 years. Here's why. Only 3 games on the board, typically steam-a-rama on the favorites, and the favorites have done very well on Thanksgiving. So if you're just taking rogue numbers on the dogs, you've gotten creamed the last 10 years.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know if it's just a small sample size or whether there's something about the bright lights, primetime games that the favorites are ultra motivated Thanksgiving Day.
Interesting. Okay. Well, let's dive into what we did last week, and what a classic week in terms of bet allocation, Steve. Out of my 6 bets against the spread, I went 3-3. Guess what? All 3 losses were 2-unit bets. All 3 wins were 1-unit bets. You got to be kidding me, Steve. Brutal.
Hey, there's a 1 in 64 chance that was going to happen, or else you got to expect that, right?
Oh, man. Here's my question. You rarely make 2-unit bets. You rarely make 1-unit bets. You're almost always 2 units. I have a lot more 1-unit bets in there. Is that a mistake by me? Why is that? Why are you so usually 2 units?
Not a mistake at all. I figure if I don't have enough confidence in a play to put 2 units on it, I probably shouldn't be putting anything on it. And it just simplifies the record keeping a lot of times to not, have these small plays that really in the long run probably aren't going to amount to anything in terms of wins or losses.
Interesting. All right. So last week, Cardinals game. I had the Cardinals getting 3.5 points. They lost 28-21. That stunk. Neither one of us had anything in the Browns and Eagles. Falcons Saints. I had 2 units on the Falcons. So did you, Steve. It was a best bet. And last week at this time, we thought Jameis Winston was going to be the quarterback. Lo and behold, ends up being Taysom Hill. Saints win 24-9. Your thoughts on that game and Taysom Hill?
Could have been worse. Taysom Hill hit a 55-yard bomb that got called back for the holding call, so that doesn't show up in the stats. Julio Jones goes down for Atlanta. No offense without him.
Lions, Panthers, we passed. Patriots, Texans. Man, this one surprised me. I was just wrong. I mean, especially early in the game, Damian Harris had one of the easiest touchdown runs I've ever seen. I thought, okay, here we go. Patriots are going to smash these guys in the run game. Didn't happen. I mean, wow. Very impressed by the Texans and disappointing the Patriots. Lost 2 more units there. I thought the Patriots would pick up where they left off against the Ravens. Didn't happen.
Watson looked good, didn't he? Throwing darts. So a Houston team that, despite being out of it, continues playing hard.
Yeah, you had them as one of your 2-team teasers. You would tease the Texans up to 8.5 and the Chargers down to -2.5. So that 2-unit, 2-team teaser came through for you, Steve, which is awesome. Next game was Steelers-Jags. Steelers were laying 9.5. I almost never do this, but I laid a unit on the Steelers. They win 27-3. You lean that way. Bengals, Washington. Bengals were getting 1.5. I had them with the Packers on a 2-team teaser. I teased them up to -7.5 or +7.5, I should say. Bengals were +1.5. And they cover that easily, Steve, if Burrow doesn't get hurt. That stunk.
Did stink. The Bengals led the yardage like 250 to 125. They had about a 2-to-1 yardage edge. They had the lead 9-7. The rest of the way, after the hated Ryan Finley comes in, 17 yards for the Bengals, 199 for Washington. It totally changed the game.
Wait a minute. They had 17 yards the rest of the game?
I know it didn't seem like that many to me, but yes, 17 yards.
That was actually one of my big takeaways, and I said this on the Ross Tucker podcast, just how important backup quarterbacks are. I mean, you either have a guy that gives you a chance to win the game or you don't. I mean, it's immense, absolutely immense. So that lost my teaser because the Packers came through for me easily. So Burrow getting hurt cost me 2 units. That's a 4-unit swing, which stinks. Titans, Ravens. I had the Titans getting 6.5 points, 1 unit. They win outright. Wow. In overtime. Dolphins, Broncos. You had 2 units on the Broncos, Steve, and 2 units on the under. They both came through. 4 units in 1 game. Take a bow, my friend.
Yeah, Tua, all of those fluky touchdowns in his first 3 starts, and it didn't materialize this game. And if you look at the last 4 games, Dolphins only getting 4.3 yards per play, NFL average 5.6. So Dolphins, lots of scoring, but a very much below average offense with Tua.
Jets, Chargers. I took the Jets getting 8.5. They lose 34-28, so the Jets covered for me. Then we get to the rest of the games. We didn't have anything. Packers, Colts was part of my 2-team teaser. I take that back. You had the Bengals, Packers as a teaser as well, Steve. That was a best bet for us that lost. So I guess we were 0 for 2 on our best bets, which really stinks. Again, all because Joe Burrow got hurt. Then you get Packers, Colts. You had the Packers in 2 teasers, which were both good. Unfortunately, in the next game, you had the Vikings in a 2-team teaser, teased down to -2 against the Cowboys, and they lose outright 31-28. Cowboys looked better. I'll give them credit. Andy Dalton gave them a chance to win.
No doubt about it. Zeke actually played a good game. He has just been lacking in explosiveness. I still say whenever I watch the Cowboys, Pollard's the better running back. I mean, he looks quicker on his feet, looks like the better pass catcher, and a testimony to why never give a big contract to a running back.
Well, it certainly seems like he's got a little more juice. That's for sure. And it does make it seem like they didn't need to spend that much money on Zeke. Chiefs, Raiders, neither one of us had anything there. We both leaned to the Chiefs. They didn't cover. And then Rams, Bucks, again, nothing there. So for the week, Steve, you were up 1 unit. I was down 5 units. That stinks. For our best bets, we were 0 for 2. The Falcons and that 2-team teaser with the Bengals, unfortunately. For the year, I am only up 10 units now. You are up 3 units. At least we're still both in the black. And our strike rate on our best bets is down to 52%. 16 wins, 15 losses. We need a big Thanksgiving Day week, Brian.
Well, happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Ross, let's start off with the first game on Thursday. The Houston Texans, they are 3-point favorites at the Detroit Lions, or the Detroit Lions. 51 is our total.
You know, it is interesting. It feels like historically the Lions play some of their best football on Thanksgiving. And by the way, all of these lines, as always, are presented by DraftKings. And I'll tell you this much, Steve. I was on a different show and they were asking me something else, and other places the Texans are laying 2.5. That's a big difference between 2.5 and 3. It's 3 on DraftKings, which is the sports book of record for this show and this segment, the one we use. I'm going to lay it. I'm going to lay it 2 units. I think Deshaun Watson's playing awesome. I think the Lions are kind of a disaster. They've lost 3 out of the last 4 games by 14 points or more. I know they play better on Thanksgiving. I don't care. I am taking the Texans laying the 3 points, 2 units.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that they play better on Thanksgiving. I'll do a little research on that going back the last 10, 20 years because I know they've had plenty of stinkers along the way as well. You know, we did a little research at pregame.com. We got a guy from Yale, so he must be good. Mackenzie Rivers does this for us. And he researched Thursday games, and he found 2 key trends. One is when a team has to travel on the road more than 850 miles, so that's the case here, they do lousy, the road team, like 39% against the spread. The second key trend is if you look at Thursday games, senior quarterbacks cover more than 60% of the time versus junior quarterbacks. So if there's a 5-year difference in age, you want to bet on the old guy against the young guy. This makes sense to me because the savvy veteran is more able to handle the short week and the nuances of that. So that would land you on Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions, both of those trends. I can't do it, though. Now, after what I saw against Carolina, without Galladay, without Swift at running back, this Detroit team, and I don't know about Stafford's thumb being 100%. I want no part of Detroit because of that. I pass the game.
Steve, the second game, the second of 3 games, would be the Washington football team, and they are getting 3 points at the Dallas Cowboys with a total of 46.
All right, my gut says this is going to be a close to the vest, close game. All of a sudden, both these teams are in contention, and I think they both know it. They both could make the playoffs. I think they're both energized, and given that, I think that they're going to play this one a little bit like a playoff game, and possibly both teams get a little conservative. I'm going to go under the 46 2 units.
Interesting, Steve. I hadn't really thought of it that way. Yeah, I was kind of impressed with how Dallas played the other day. However, I don't think Washington deserved to win the game. I think they were lucky that Burrow got hurt. I don't want to lay 3.5 though, because I do think this is a lower scoring, 20-17, 23-20, something like that sort of game. And they both did have defenses play better. You know what, Steve? I'm with you. I'm going to go 2 units on the under 46 as well. I think that's a good call by you. I don't think these offenses are going to have big games. Let's do a best bet under 46. I think it's a low scoring game.
The best bet.
The Thursday night game, the Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers laying 4 points with a total of 45.
Yep, and I'm going to be there. Really looking forward to it. Get a chance to just drive to Pittsburgh on Thanksgiving after some family time, which is terrific. For those of you who listen to other shows, my schedule changed during the day today. The Ravens COVID stuff is interesting. There's some uncertainty as to, who's going to all be available. We know that J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram were placed on the COVID list. They will not be available. I still just call it a hunch, Steve. I think Baltimore is desperate. I think that not having Dobbins and Ingram will change the offense a little bit for Pittsburgh, in terms of what Baltimore will do. Pittsburgh's been great. I don't think they're going undefeated. I think Baltimore is desperate. I'll put 2 units on the Ravens getting the 4.5 points.
I'm going to lean Pittsburgh here. I just think there's too many disruptions for Baltimore offensively. So if you go back to last year, Yonda, one of their linemen, retires. Then this year, Stanley, their best lineman, gets injured. Another lineman gets injured as well. Their best blocking tight end, Boyle, gets injured. And now 2 of the 3 running backs aren't going to play. And this is a team that relies so much, on pounding the rock. And now they only have Gus Edwards. Ross, I just think it's too much in terms of the continuity of the offense with all those guys out. I'll lean Pittsburgh.
All right, Steve, this Sunday we go. We'll start with the Las Vegas Raiders at the Atlanta Falcons. And the Raiders, 3-point favorites in this one, total 55.5.
Very interesting. So the Atlanta had a stinker last week. Julio Jones got hurt. I don't know if he's going to play with a hamstring. I'm still going to lean to Atlanta, and it's all about line value. The look-ahead line on this game was pick 'em last week. Raiders played very well. I upgraded them. Atlanta played poorly. I downgraded them. But I still think it's a good spot for Atlanta, and certainly last week's efforts have been reflected in this line with the Falcons catching 3 points. That was an all-in game for Vegas, and I got to question their energy level traveling across the country. Give me a unit on Atlanta plus the 3.
Wow, that's interesting, Steve. I can't do that. I think this line is about right. I think the Raiders are the better team. Was not impressed at all by the Falcons. In fact, very disappointed by them in New Orleans. Thought they'd play better off of a bye. Thought they had some momentum going with Raheem Morris. I would lean to the Raiders laying the 3 points in this one. I won't actually do it, but I would lean that way. I also would lean towards telling all of you that Fanatics is the official shop for National Lacrosse League fan gear. Whoever you root for, wherever you live. Here's the deal, okay? Whether you love lacrosse, like my nephew and nieces do, and they're so into the National Lacrosse League, or you just love cool gear, either way, you got to check out the NLL merch. So I am a Philadelphia Wings guy. That's my squad, right? I'm from Philadelphia. I like the Philadelphia Wings. But the Calgary Roughnecks, their logo, that guy is so awesome. The roughneck with the stick in his hand like he's like a lumberjack, absolutely awesome. And you get all their gear from Fanatics. Fanatics is the only place to buy official National Lacrosse League fan gear. Do what I did and get yours in time for the upcoming season. Save 25% when you use my promo code EvenMoney at shopnll.com/evenmoney. That's shopnll.com/evenmoney. Promo code EvenMoney to get 25% off. Shop NLL, National Lacrosse League.com/evenmoney. Promo code EvenMoney.
All right, next game, Ross. The Arizona Cardinals are favored by 2.5 points at the New England Patriots. 49.5 is our total.
Yeah, and this is one of the teaser legs that I like for this week. I'm going to tease the Patriots up to 8.5. I don't know that they'll win the game. I don't think they're going to lose by more than one score to the Arizona Cardinals. I think New England will be very competitive in this game. Thought about just taking New England in the points, but I'm so disgusted by their performance against the Texans. I'll just tease New England up to plus 8.5, and I am going to pair that with the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are favored by 8.5 against the Chicago Bears. I'll tease them down to minus 2.5. They might not cover 8.5, but they're not losing to the Bears. Teasing them down to minus 2.5. So Patriots up to 8.5, Packers down to -2.5 is my 1-2 unit 2-team teaser this week.
I'm going to take the total in this game. I'm going to go over the 49.5 for 2 units. You know, I was watching New England, Houston, and I was like, why didn't I play that game over? New England's had these bad weather games, most recently against Baltimore. And in good weather, the game should be higher scoring. Now, somehow, the New England-Houston game stayed under. I still don't know how. And I think that's giving us value on this total. I know Arizona is a dead nut over team that plays fast. I'm going to go over 49.5, 2 units.
Steve, the Giants and the Bengals. Giants favored by 5.5, 42.5 the total.
Holy line move. So the Giants were catching 2.5 9 days ago on the look-ahead line. Now the Giants are laying 5.5. So an 8-point adjustment. You know, I just for quarterback alone, Ryan Finley, I have as a 5.5-point adjustment. So not 8. However, I can see it here. Talk about a dream crusher, even a franchise crusher. The word is the Bengals can't protect their franchise player. It's a disaster. Zach Taylor's being called out for too many passes. And so because of that, normally when you have the big star of a team going down, a team oftentimes rallies. I'm not sure that happens in this case with the Bengals. Ryan Finley was a disaster last year when Andy Dalton sat down. I passed the game.
Yeah, you know, I'm torn on this one. I think Ryan Finley's really bad, but I also worry a little bit that there's like a letdown by the Giants coming off a bye. They fire the offensive line coach. Now they're playing the Bengals without Joe Burrow. I'll just put 1 unit on the Giants laying the 5.5 because I think that they're a much better team at this point, but I'm a little bit nervous, like I said, about some of those factors. So 1 unit, the Giants laying 5.5 points against the Bengals.
Next game, it's the Cleveland Browns and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Cleveland 6.5-point favorites, and 49 is the total, Ross.
Right. So this is a game I'm going to stay away from at DraftKings because I don't like the uncertainty with the Jags quarterback position. It sounds like it might be Minshew. I don't know, Steve, if you have any insight there, but I'm a little bit nervous about the Minshew sort of giving them a boost factor after Luton was so bad last week that I'm just going to stay away from this. I would lay the points with Cleveland. That would be my lean. But I feel like Minshew might have a backdoor cover and Myles Garrett's out again.
Yeah, you nailed it. If Luton went again, absolutely Cleveland is the play. Minshew is questionable. We'll have to see as the week develops. I would bet Cleveland at -7 or less if Minshew can't go.
All right, Steve, the Minnesota Vikings, they are at home. They are favored by 4 against the Carolina Panthers with a total of 48.5.
Yeah, what a performance by Carolina last week, shutting out Detroit. But I think more of that was about the Lions' offense than the Carolina defense. Minnesota, disappointing loss, which probably puts them out of the playoffs last week against Dallas. My power ratings only make it 3, but I'm not betting Carolina. There's only 2 teams in the NFL that have not had a bye, Carolina and Tampa Bay. And with it being Thanksgiving, that's really tough to go that long in a season without a bye. Ross, you ever have a season, so I'm passing this game, you ever have a season where you had like the latest bye, and do you remember it at all having implications on you?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I remember one year having the earliest bye you could possibly have. I don't remember having one where it was the latest. So I love to give some insight there, but I don't remember that. So unfortunately, I can't chime in there. I'm gonna pass the game. I would lean Carolina though. No matter who the quarterback is, I would lean Carolina and the points. You got the points, and you've got Adam Thielen on the COVID list. I would lean Carolina in that one.
Next game, Ross, Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. Titans are getting 4 from the Colts with a total of 50.5.
So here's the deal. I like the Titans Pretty much my same logic as last week. I think it's a toss-up game. I think this game could go either way. You're going to give me 4 points. I'll take them. It's really that simple. 2 units, Titans. That was impressive against Baltimore. They know what they need to do against Indianapolis. I didn't think Indianapolis really was that great against Green Bay. 2 units, Tennessee Titans catching the 4.
And I agree. 2 units on the Tennessee Titans. That's a best bet, Bri.
The best bet.
The one thing I really like about Vrabel, when I'm watching a game, so often I'm like, oh, these coaches have no idea what they're doing. And I watch Vrabel and like everything he does, I agree with typically. And look last week against Baltimore, 4 minutes left in the second quarter. Midfield, it's 4th and 7. It's going to be the last possession if they punt, and Baltimore's probably going to drive down and get points, maybe a field goal, maybe not. But the bottom line is the Tennessee Titans fake a punt, and they get a first down, and they wind up getting the last score of the first half. It's such an obvious great spot, and the reason being is with 4 minutes left, that's going to be the last possession. So it was the perfect spot to call the fake punt, and so many of these coaches are unaware of stuff like that, and Vrabel always seems to be aware, and I don't know if it's in the point spread. Now, I get it. Indy just rolled these guys 2 weeks ago, but part of that was the idiot punter gifting them 14 points. So misleading final on Thursday somewhat because of special teams. I'm on the dog here, plus the 4. Titans get their revenge.
The Los Angeles Chargers, Steve, at the Buffalo Bills. Bills, 5.5-point favorites. 53.5 is the total.
All right, it's a high total, but I think it's going to be a shootout. Let's face it, when the Jets can score against you, anyone can score against you, and the Chargers can, put up points. The Bills defense, very much a disappointment. Bills offense is fine. I'm going to go over 53.5, 2 units.
Interesting. Yeah, this game's a pass for me. I guess I would lean towards laying the points with the Bills. The Chargers, it's unbelievable. Herbert's awesome. They had a lot of good players, and they barely beat the Jets. Like, they could have lost to the Jets. It's absolutely crazy. I'll just lean Buffalo here with the 5.5-point spread, laying it at DraftKings.
Yeah. Ross, the next game, it's the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. The Dolphins favored by 6.5 in New York or in New Jersey, 44.5 total.
Yeah, I actually think the Dolphins are a pretty good teaser leg here, teasing them down to just laying 0.5 point if you want to consider that, because I think they're going to win the game. I just don't have faith that they're going to cover the spread. Starting Tua again, he did not look good against the Broncos. So I would lean towards laying the points with the Dolphins, but it's just a lean.
Yeah, I'm going to pass this game. Tua, maybe not 100%, and he's going to play. And part of the reason he's going to play is I don't think that the Dolphins brass want Fitzmagic to be able to just feast off of that Jets defense. And now you got a quarterback controversy. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the game with Tua starting.
Steve, the New Orleans Saints are laying 5.5 points at the Denver Broncos with a total of 43.5.
So I'll pass this one. Denver looked very impressive last week. Taysom Hill did not look good in the stats. But like I said, when I was watching the game, he did a lot of things I really did like. And specifically, he had one bomb that he threw perfectly, 55, 60-yard touchdown, and it got called back. And so there's 60 yards that go off of his passing stats that really should be there because the penalty had nothing to do with the play. Whenever I'm watching a game like an NFL Rewind or live, I always try to make notations of one plays that changed the story of a player's bottom line. I'll go ahead and lean just a little bit to New Orleans.
Yeah, I think I would lean New Orleans as well, but now that there's a whole game of Taysom Hill, and Vic Fangio is a good D coordinator, man. Vic Fangio comes up with some pretty good plans. It's just a lean for me with New Orleans laying the 5.5.
Next game, Ross, the San Francisco 49ers at the Los Angeles Rams, where the Niners are getting 7 in this one, and the total is 45.
Yeah, that line seems about right to me. That's probably just about where I would have it. So I don't have an edge there either way, I guess. I would lay it with the Rams. Just I like Sean McVay. He is so good. Plus, you've got a situation where the Niners now, Trent Williams tests positive for COVID, so he's out. Their backup left tackle has been a disaster. So it'll just be a lean for me with the Rams laying the 7.
I'm going to pass the game. The power ratings make Rams 8.5 in my number, but I don't want any part of the spot. Specifically, the Rams get the home run, victory, upset victory. Now a short week against a team off of a bye, so that certainly favors the Niners. I pass.
Steve, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kansas City favored by 3.5. Total is 55.5.
Yeah, what a disappointment by Tampa Bay last night and Brady. I know that was a very close game, but it sure didn't feel like it. It felt like the Rams were the better team the entire way. Normally, I would look to fade Kansas City, who wrapped up the division with the big win against the Raiders. But Kansas City still a game behind Pittsburgh for the number 1 seed and that bye in the AFC. And because of that, I'm going to go ahead and pass.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to pass this one as well. I don't even have really a strong lean one way or the other. This is about, I mean, if anything, I guess I kind of feel like Kansas City should be laying more points than this. So I guess I would lean with I would lean Kansas City laying the points.
Sunday Night Football, Ross. Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers, where the Packers are laying 8.5 points with a total of 45.
So I've got the Packers teased down to -2.5 in the 2-team teaser with New England Patriots I talked about earlier. I would be very surprised if the Packers lost that game. I think it's a close, competitive. I mean, I think the Packers win the game. Maybe the Bears are able to go ahead and cover the number, but not if it tease it down to -2.5.
You know, I think it's such a good teaser to play the Packers. I got to tease Green Bay. I really struggled to find another game I liked to tease. So let me take 2 units, Green Bay and the teaser, and I'll back up the board, and I'll take the much despised Cleveland Browns to just beat Jacksonville for my second leg, 2-team teaser, 2 units.
Final game, Monday Night Football. It's the Seattle Seahawks at the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Seahawks, 5.5-point favorites on the road with a total of 51.
Interesting. So Seattle's had 10 days to prepare, and that would be nice advantage to Seattle. Money keeps coming on Philly each and every week. They don't perform on the field, however. Wentz, just absolutely atrocious. 2 for 10 on third down conversions. Week before, 0 for 9. The horrible pick 6 in the wind, or rather in the rain against Cleveland. It is Seattle's third long road trip. The last 4 games, they had to go to Buffalo and they had to go to the Rams. So that's a negative. But I think the extra time, that since they got to play Thursday, now Monday, probably mitigates all that. I'll have a small lean Seattle Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I think that's the direction I would go. Eagles are in a bad way right now, man. I mean, I'm not going to bet it, but my lean would be Seattle -5. Carson Wentz just does not look comfortable at all, and I don't have a lot of faith that the Eagles are going to come through on Monday night, although they've won their primetime games this year for whatever that's worth. That'll do it, by the way, for this week's Even Money podcast. Check out Steve at Fezzik Sports on Twitter. That's the key. You can get all of Steve's other picks, his prop bets, his other sports, everything. But you got to follow him on Twitter to know how to get those at Fezzik Sports. That's the key. I'm at Ross Tucker NFL. Other than that, good luck, everybody. Hope you guys win some money.
Thanks for listening to the Even Money Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, The Fantasy Feast, Business of Sports, and the College Draft. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.